This content is personal experience, not medical advice. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional. Guest views are their own.
Thanks y'all so much. It's such an honor to be here, and thank you so much to Tiffany. How about Tiffany for putting on this crazy? What kind of crazy person would do this for 2 years? And look how it's growing. So no, I'm so thankful, and I really just wanted to share, my story and the message that, that there's solutions out there, and that a lot of times, I struggled with major health problems and used the power of fruit, and my problems were solved. But a lot of times, people get the message that, you're screwed for life and you're chronically ill, and that's just the way it is. There's no solution. So I think what we're doing here is letting people know that you can transform yourself, through the power of these things. So let's keep spreading that message, and hopefully, we'll save lives, and that's a huge thing. So my goal is just to share value with you of my experience, and hopefully make your life easier in some way. I'm a detoxification specialist, and I've been doing this now. I've been in this game for 7 years, using these tools to fix myself up. Next slide, please. Just want to be very transparent about what I observe and what I and what I sort of see as the problems and the solutions. It's over-acidity is the big problem. We live on a planet of chemistry, and that's what fruits are all about. Is they create alkaline chemistry, and people with health problems are full of acidic chemistry. Whether it's from the food, the environment, the water, skin products. How about pharmaceuticals? And so, excuse me. How good was that lunch, by the way? That was amazing. So, and then the solution is basically just to alkalize the body. Whether you're doing fruits, you're cleansing out the body. I've used a lot of supplements, but ultimately, that's what the fruit is for. It's to alkalize the body chemistry and keep it alkaline. Once you have an alkaline body, anything's possible, and you can totally transform yourself. So, okay, next slide, please. So, I never intended to get into this lifestyle. I've always been, I got really sick when I was 21 years of age. I'm 33 now, but for the first part of my life, I had no interest in veganism or raw foods. I just like to have fun, and so I always like to have fun, and my friends and I would occasionally experiment, with mind-altering substances. Well, one night we thought, it was a great idea if we drank a bottle of cough medicine. Have you guys ever heard of this? So we tried that, and it really wasn't that cool even. But anyways, next day I woke up, and I felt like I'd been run over by a train, basically, and I just had the most horrific symptoms. And at first I thought this was just like some kind of hangover, but then it lasted for weeks and then months, and basically I was having horrible headaches, sinus pressure. I couldn't think clearly. I had terrible brain fog, and my energy was so low. It was like I was so lethargic all the time. And so, and so this continued on, and eventually I got really concerned that this was going to be, that I was going to be like this for the rest of my life, and I even did some research online, and apparently there's a number of people who have overdosed on cough medicine, and now they've somehow ruined their nervous system or something crazy that now they feel just horrible all the time. So, next slide, please. Thus ensued, two back from that one. No, before that one. Oh, it is, okay. So thus ensued, that now we're skipping ahead, we're fast forwarding in the story. But if we go back, the slide before this, it says, yes, 4 years of hell. So that's when I went through 4 years of, I basically just resigned myself to that. I was gonna be like this for the rest of my life. And it was rough. And a lot of bad stuff happened. And, my only remaining comfort was food as well. So I would eat junk food as like my one remaining pleasure in life, So I was in a really bummed out place. This was a very dark time for me. And I did have a remaining kernel of hope, 1% left of hope that I could somehow still redeem my life or turn things around. So next slide, please. So after about 4 years, when I was about 26, I came across this gentleman named Dr. Ed Group. Show of hands if anyone has heard of Dr. Ed Group. Okay. I know it looks like a dating ad for Ed there. And so that's what I decided, you know what, I really have a chance to solve my problems and fix everything. I'm gonna go all in on the fruit. Now it took me about 2.5 years to really transition, because I had cravings like you wouldn't believe. So anyway, so in about 2.5 years, next slide please, I really went all in. I was eating as much fruit as possible. I spent thousands of dollars on herbs. I ended up doing like 3 liver cleanses, several colon cleanses, parasite cleansing, kidney lymphatic cleansing, heavy metal and toxin cleansing, and basically just did everything I could possibly do to to basically try to get my life back. And what happened was, next slide please. So after about 2.5 years, I figured out how to go all raw, and then spent like a year on all raw, and I'm very happy, and I thank God every day that after 3.5 years, all my symptoms were gone, and I had no more brain fog, no more headaches, no more sinus pressure. Back then I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had lost all my talents, all my gifts, and I just didn't even want to face myself. I dropped out of school. I ran away to South America. It was such a bad place, but I got my life back. So, that's the power. Thank you. So that's the power. That's the power of what we're talking about, the power of fruit. So next slide, please. So that was when that happened, and I finally said, all right, I fixed everything. Everything's cool now, and I feel like my old self again. That was 3.5 years ago. So since then, I've kept my foot on the gas, and I've been pretty much 99% raw. I cheat every once in a while and stuff, but something keeps me going, and I think from other people have talked about it from a high performance standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, and I see no better option that's out there to put all the odds in your favor, to make the best life possible. So I've really learned a heck of a lot along the way, and so now you want to get to the point where it's like, okay, you're so healthy now, what are you gonna do? And so I am committed to pay it forward and try to help other people. my only other message is that that's what I'm going to be up to. I'm normally here at the fruit meetups on Sundays at 6, but I'm interested to build this community, and I'm also working on a documentary about, yeah, I think you guys will find it interesting. A little story about the history of the medical establishment, but and how our movement has been suppressed, for a long time. But anyway, so my only other message is that please, if you want to keep in touch, as soon as that's ready, I'll send you guys an email so that if you want to keep in touch, and I'll send you my information. If there's anything I can do to help you, or if there's anything you can do to help me, But other than that, I'd like to give you some time back, and just see. Tiffany's telling me I need to keep talking. No, I just want to see if there's any questions.
How do you transition to, what's the best way to go on a raw vegan diet?
What's the best way to transition or go on a raw vegan diet? I always found that I never tried to cut out anything when I first got into fruit. I didn't even have any intention to give up animal products. I would just eat more fruit, try to eat as much fruit throughout the day as possible, and I would feel the power from it, after each meal, and you could feel the alkalizing effects, and yet I was still eating meat and still eating these other things. Eventually, my cravings dropped off for those other things, and so that it just happened organically. But I think it's definitely a balance. You don't want to go too hard, too cold turkey, because then you really end up, kind of burn yourself out, and then you end up like at a drive-through at Whataburger or something. The pendulum kind of swings back. So
Start with one meal a day.
start with one meal a day.
Start your day with fruits and smoothie or raw. Whole. Just do that once a day and cut out the animal products. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Now, is your question more about how to go from one meal a day to completely raw, basically?
Just in general, like
Mm-hmm.
what tips, what to avoid, how to think about it.
I think in the beginning, it helps to eat more fat and protein, whether it's nuts or seeds or avocado, coconut. Those things all help make the transition in the beginning, because the standard diet is very high in fat and protein, and so your body just craves that. I think eventually then you can maybe transition to more fruit and, in the back there, I'll be right with you.
I've got a question for you. So, what did your family say, and what did you say to them about your new diet?
Yeah, so this was a big challenge. I mean, at the time, my family, they thought that I was losing my mind. The timing was not good, because at the time, I had temporarily moved back in with my family for a period of time, and they thought I was losing it, and they said, "You're going to have to go to therapy and see a therapist, or else we're going to kick you out onto the streets." And so it was like this big showdown, and I called their bluff, and I didn't have to go to the therapist, and I eventually got out of there. But they've really come around. That was 7 years ago. I mean, so they're really cool about it now. But in the beginning, it really freaked them out, which you could kind of expect. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say for the question about the kids, one thing that we did in our house was include them and make it fun. So go to the store and say, we would go to like Whole Foods that we don't have at home, so just make that trip and let them pick whatever they wanted, that something cool they saw that they never tried, and that's how we started getting them more interested in eating fruit. And then they have an escalator at one of the Whole Foods here in Austin. So that, just little things not making all the choices by yourself.
Wow, so you're including them in the, giving them control over what they're eating, and kids like food naturally, don't they? I mean,
Some do, some don't.
yeah,
Teenagers, right?
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
What my mother did for my teenagers is she always had fresh food on her table, and she always made sure I had fresh food on my table at my house. And now my kids always have fresh food on their table. But with teenagers, some may want to go to the grocery store, but mine had zero interest in anything helpful. But they're great people anyway. But the other thing was not to preach. My daughter, she easily shifted to vegan. My son was like, you need a steak in front of your face just to, try to get under your skin. But when you said about the parasites, I know my teenagers wouldn't take any supplements, but you can always have papaya when you're season, because that's a natural, parasite.
So sneak them cleansing food without on the sly. I like that. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, I think it's interesting that we deworm our dogs yearly in America, but we don't deworm ourselves pretty much ever. I thought about that a few times over the last 2 years. It's just like, why am I doing this for my dog? I'm not doing it for myself.
I think we're out of time.
Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you so much.